So we're going to make this very simple. So the reason why it is that I wanted to come in today and kind of talk to y'all about the love and lovers card. You see a lot of people on YouTube. You see a lot of people when it comes to this type of business, the spiritualism business, okay, that ultimately, and remember who you heard it here first from, me, that ultimately everybody wants to know about love, right? If they will find a soulmate, if this person is their true partner, their lifelong partner. The reason for that, more than likely, the answer for that, more than likely, is no. And I'm going to explain why. The reason for that is because, as you see here, you see the Lover's card. Now, the Lover's card, okay, is if you're there's two versions of basically being in love. There's the healthy version and then there's the unhealthy version. Most people are in the unhealthy version because when you fall in love, you're actually in the unhealthy version because it means that you've allowed yourself and someone into tricking you, meaning you've tricked yourself and you've allowed someone else to trick you, right? Which is a form of manipulation into being in a relationship with this person that if you just slow down a minute, used your common sense, right? And stop lying to yourself, stop being so caught up with your own narcissism into thinking that you can change this person, right? You will realize that you and this person are not actually supposed to be together. Y'all two are a horrible mix for each other. So why that's so dangerous is because that's the way that most people actually interact or deal with each other in a romantic sense nowadays. Most people are narcissistically doing themselves and other people harm by being in relationships with other people that are ultimately turning out to be abusive. Turning out to be abusive. So the difference between that and actually being in love is that when you actually are in love with someone, first and foremost, you're not falling in love. You're in love with the person. And how and why that's important to make a distinction between the two is because when you're in love with someone, what real love is about is bringing the soul, bringing the physical body, and bringing the spirit to a higher level in which yourself and the other person didn't necessarily understand or see possible. Because love is actually transcending a barrier or a blockage. If you were super egotistical, you wouldn't be able to have. So what am I saying? What am I saying is love is the wall breaker that has you gain higher form of knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. It basically breaks the human limitation into something spiritual and into something even more higher than spiritual, or I should say higher than spiritual, which is soulful. So love is basically another form of education. So when you're in love with someone, you are stepping your game up because this person inspires you to step your game up on a physical level, on a soul level, on a spiritual level. Okay? And you're doing it for the other person. You are inspiring the other person as the other person is inspiring you. And that when the two of y'all are actually together and interacting with each other, you're discovering things about the other person and about yourselves that you didn't necessarily even knew you had. Okay? All right? Now, what you have most of today, as I've been saying before, is most people are deluding themselves because of their own narcissism, their own ego, and their own ambition. Because ego is good as long as you know how to keep it in check. Ego becomes tainted when you create when you implement ambition, ambition means the desire to be seen, the desire to have everyone worship and adore you. So having a little bit of an ego is good. Having too much ambition is bad, because you start doing things for the validation of others. And this is where most people are today. That, and also stuck in their own form of narcissism. How many times has it been where you've seen people where they need to learn to let go of the situation? Otherwise, they are not going to do good. And my gosh, they are so hard headed. They don't seem to understand let go. And if you don't let go, you're going to be in a situation where you're either going to have to let go because it's going to be so dangerous, or you're going to keep holding on and you're going to destroy yourself. Now, what we have here is the devil's card. And if you're paying attention, the devil and the lovers share the same motif. Share the same motif. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because the lovers and the devil are essentially the same card, but split in two. Because the lovers is the invitation. The lovers is not a very good card either. And the reason why is because the lovers is just there. The lovers card ultimately is just there to trapdoor you into a situation where it's meant to look inviting. Now, what does this represent? This represents all those individuals who they know they shouldn't be with somebody, but yet they still hang out with this person because of their own narcissism, or because they think that they're getting something out of that person, whatever it is that it may be, right? It could even be for clout or whatever it is that it may be. But in actuality, it's really the devil's card, because the lovers is always a trap door into the devil's card. But the lovers is very manipulative, because the lovers looks inviting. As to where if you actually saw the devil card, you would be on high alert because it's obvious. But here's the situation. Even with the devil's card, right? The devil's card represents how you can get yourself out of the situation if you actually do the work, and someone, or the both of you, decided the two of you are not going to work. But see, that takes a harsh look at the reality of the situation that unfortunately most people are not really ready to look at and be honest with themselves. You see? So, and the reason why it is, like I said before, that I charge the way that I do, and I can afford to do that, and no one can be upset at me, is because how many people you know actually have this type of information on Earth? Because the person who created this tarot deck, right, that the A.E. Waithe himself, right, standing for Arthur Edwards Waithe, that individual was in one of these occult groups, worked these rituals that I was talking about, studied the Kabbalah incorrectly, invoked and practiced the Kabbalah incorrectly, and met a very horrible end from the same magic that he was practicing. Me, I'm teaching y'all how to invoke these cards, energies, how to understand them, what to look out for, this, that, and the third, the correct way. So you don't end up getting yourself caught up in a situation where all this malefic stuff starts happening to you and it starts getting worse and you don't understand why. So that's why I get to charge whatever I want. And people need to learn to start being okay with it, because if you don't like it, go to someone who doesn't have this information and let them mess you up, whether it is that they know it or not. This is why the Lover's card is so dangerous. Peace.